everything is streaming. Maybe it's not. Hello, friends. Now we're working. Brad Evans here. Another edition of A Noise AMA. It is week 8 of the fantasy football slate, and we're going to be breaking down all of the action for you. Not only in this broadcast, I'm answering as many questions as I possibly can here in the next 30 minutes, but also coming up on Fantasy Football Live, starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We're going to have the very latest and a one-of-a-kind, unique perspective you only get on Fantasy Football Live. Weather Brad. Yes, I'm going to be switching hats, going from fantasy football nincompoop to weather guru, and breaking down all the impacts in Western New York with the Buffalo Bills and Philadelphia Eagles game, and also as well impacts in Foxborough with New England and the Cleveland Browns. So you don't want to miss that. Plus, it's our Halloween episode. Andy Behrens and I have a special outfit picked out, which I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy. We have a ton of fun. It's wild. It's wacky. It's informative. Fantasy Football Live coming up again, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific on yahoosports.com. And you can also stream it on your device using the Yahoo Sports app. All right, let's go ahead and dive in here on some of the latest news and notes that's going on throughout the entire fantasy football universe. Alvin Kamara is out today. David Johnson also out today. So both starting running backs in the Arizona-New Orleans game will not suit up. Chase Edmonds I have as a top 15 play this afternoon, along with Latavius Murray. I think both these guys firmly in the RB1 conversation in 12-team and deeper leagues, given their increase in volume and just expected output in general. I think Latavius has got a great shot at around 100 combined yards and a touchdown. Chase Edmonds, I'm forecasting fearlessly, mind you, for 80 total yards and a score. Elsewhere, what are the impacts going to be with Matt Ryan not at the controls, and Matt Schaub, who hasn't played a meaningful snap in the NFL since 2015? What are the ripple effects there for Atlanta? I moved Julio Jones outside my top 20 at the wide receiver position. It wasn't the greatest matchup on paper to begin with, as Seattle's given up just 7.2 in terms of YPA. Shaq Griffin allowing a 0.76 yards per snap rate, and Trey Flowers has really perked up here since getting blasted early in the season. A player now under 100 passer rating allowed. I think Julio, it wouldn't shock me at all if he's under 70 yards for the third time in 4 games. Calvin Ridley, I view as more or less just a flex-only option in 12-team and deeper leagues. Something to keep in mind there. To get back to the weather impacts in Buffalo, significant. I can tell you right now, I was looking at the forecast models, looking at the latest observations in Orchard Park, where the Bills Stadium is. It ain't good, folks. You got sustained winds of 25 to 35 miles an hour expected. Peak gusts expected around 2 p.m. Eastern time this afternoon. So that's the middle of the game. Game kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern. We could have gusts as high as 55 miles per hour when howling out there in Western New York, mixed with some precipitation. Now, it's not cold. It's actually quite mild, but it's going to be windy. It's going to be wet. So it just exacerbates the situation there with the gusty conditions. So Josh Allen outside my QB1 ranks. This is not an overreaction. John Brown, I've slid down now to more or less a wide receiver 3. I know the matchup's great on paper, but if there was one meteorological effect that has the biggest impact on the virtual game, it is clearly high sustained winds, and sustained meaning consistent. And that's what we're going to have out there in Western New York today. So you have to downgrade all the vertical options on both sides of the ball. Wentz, Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz as well. This could be a ground and pound type of game for both coaches. And I hammered the living daylights on the under on 40.5 as well. If you're into the gambling arts, that game is going to be old school, kind of a slobber knocker between the tackles type of warfare. So something to keep in mind there. Elsewhere, in terms of Foxborough, it's not as much a wind event, but a rain event. Heavy rains expected from start to finish. If you look at the radar, it's just a green blob right now over Massachusetts, really the entire northeastern area of the country. Same weather impacts that we saw in college football yesterday across the Midwest. have now reached the East Coast. So we're going to have all kinds of wetness and dampness on the field, some pooling up, potentially there at Gillette Stadium. This could be more of a ground-centric game as well. Love Sony Michel based on the matchups alone. You look at the Cleveland Browns, they're giving up 4.9 yards per carry, close to 120 rush yards per game to the running back position. So it could be another multi-TD game for Michel in this one. Meanwhile, Nick Chubb, I view him more as a back-end RB2 this week. New England has allowed the fewest fantasy points to the running back position this season. They're giving up less than 60 rush yards per game overall. They've yet to allow a touchdown. So it's going to be tough sledding for Chubb anyway. And now with the weather conditions, you have to downgrade him a little bit further. Same with OBJ. OBJ is not must-start material. This whole stupid always start your studs theory is exactly that, a theory. OBJ doesn't qualify anymore. He's wide receiver 38 right now on the season in terms of per game average. He's not finding the end zone with regularity. You got the Patriots in that secondary who's been the stingiest in the NFL. Stephon Gilmore, McCourty combined below a 60 passer rating allowed. No thanks. I want nothing to do with Mayfield. I want nothing to do with anybody. Only person I'd entertain is Chubb right now in a Cleveland Browns uniform. And again, I'm downgrading some of the options there on the New England side because of the deluge expected throughout the entire game. Yes, and Andy Behrens dropping a sophomore pun saying he too would entertain Chubb as he is sporting a Cougs t-shirt. It's a little sneak preview of what we may be wearing on Fantasy Football Live today. All right. So that's a rundown of some of the news and notes that are out there. Let me go ahead and answer some of your questions. They're coming in fast and furious right now, particularly on Facebook. First up, Rick Frazier said, Stills or James White in a flex and a PPR. I adore Kenny Stills today. A guy had seen action in the slot around 66% of the time. He's going to slide right into that vacancy left by Will Fuller. That's 7 targets per game. Oakland secondary is so rancid. They got rid of Garyon Connolly last week. They've allowed the most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Kenny Stills is in a blow-up position. It could be 100 yards. It could be a touchdown. He's only $17 in the Yahoo DFS game. I have Kenny Stills. I spent a lot of fab cash on him in multiple leagues. I'm playing him everywhere. I have the utmost confidence in his abilities coming off a 100-yard performance, and you just got to maximize the matchup. Plus, it's the highest total on the board, folks. Use Jersey, use Vegas, use those places to your advantage. That total right now at 52. So, love Kenny Stills today. Absolutely play him over James White. Jason Everett Probus pick 2, Jacoby, Breeze, Singletary, Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams for me and Drew Brees. Yes, Breeze is back. Announced yesterday. If he's in uniform, he needs to be in your fantasy lineup unless you have extraordinary options like Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. If you're deciding between Breeze and a Kyler Murray, I go Drew Brees. The Cardinals are a different defensive animal with Patrick Peterson back. Peterson has given up, or last week with Peterson on the field, just a 6.4 YPA. So it is an entirely different situation than what we saw earlier this season without Peterson. But still, I trust Breeze. I go with him. And good Lord have mercy, Michael Thomas could have like 50 targets in this game. You think I'm exaggerating? Maybe slightly. Just slightly. But those are the options there. Calvin says Kyler Murray or Jameis Winston. I'm going to go with Kyler in the rushing upside. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson had success on the ground against this New Orleans defense earlier this season. So I think Murray, if he's going to make his hay today, it's going to be with the legs. And that game's got a ton of shootout appeal as well. Grant says Fitzgerald or DK Metcalf with money bags and huevos. I like it. I'm going to maximize the matchup. I'm going DK Metcalf. It's Atlanta. No Desmond Trufant. Probably going to get some Isaiah Oliver in coverage. Who's given up a 120-plus pass rating to his assignments. I mean, the Falcons have been terrible. They're right up there in terms of most fantasy points. I think they've allowed the most to wide receivers on the season and 8.6 YPA as well. So give me DK Metcalf. Chris Highland says Ty Johnson or Carlos Hyde. I'll go Ty. Again, I'll take advantage of the matchup there as the New York Giants have allowed the 4th most fantasy points and 4.4 yards per carry, the running back position. Johnson's not particularly exciting to me, and he's going to be in a committee with J.D. McKissick. And please, Miami trade Kenyon Drake to Detroit. But I think the Lions want to see what they got in Ty before making a move, potentially to pry Drake away from the Dolphins. Johnson just 2.52 yak per attempt this season, a 16.1 missed tackle percentage. I like the size at 5'10", 208 pounds. He's fast in a straight line. Oh, my goodness. You definitely want to tune in to Fantasy Football Live. Andy Behrens is sporting thigh, and it's Saquon-like. It's spectacular. But Ty Johnson's scouting report, this is a direct line from NFL.com, quote, not a physical finisher, end quote. And again, the numbers, the eye test, it verifies that observation and opinion. So I'm not real bullish on him, but better option of the two there. Kimberly says, Connor, Murray, Eckler, or Michelle. She needs 3. Connor for sure. Eckler and Michelle, I would go with, and sit Latavius. Although I think all these guys lumped together, in my opinion. I think this is a lucky 7 situation. You can't really go wrong with any of them. Derek says Josh Allen or Jared Goff. I'd definitely go Jared Goff. The weather in Buffalo is indeed terrible. Wind and rain. But wind, again, that is the most influential factor in the meteorological world on fantasy football. There's been countless studies about high wind games and the underperformance experienced by vertical options involved. And it is certainly going to apply in Buffalo today. We're going to have colorful maps. I'm going to lay everything out for you on Pete Gus and more about the nitty-gritty of those weather impacts in Orchard Park on Fantasy Football Live. Again, coming up, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Jeff says Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. Oh, aren't you just the luckiest dude on the planet? I'll go Watson, but you can't really lose with either one of those guys. Flip a coin. They're both going to be dynamite for you. Varun on YouTube. Corey Davis or Tariq Cohen in a PPR flex. Corey Davis, man. Believe in Ryan Tannehill. 10-plus YPA last couple of weeks. 80 completion rate as well. And you get Tampa Bay, which has given up 318.5 pass yards per game to the quarterback position. Corey Davis off an 8-target game gets a similar workload. I think it's going to be another 80-plus and a TD for CD. Maybe start it all come together. I do like A.J. Brown, too, if you're looking for a cheaper option there. Calvin says Corey Davis for Mohamed Sanu. Again, it's Davis, and Sanu probably going to be on a limited snap count. Just got traded to New England. I know Josh Gordon is no longer in the mix, but, dude, you got to maximize a matchup. Go with Davis with that conundrum. Nick says Jonnu Smith or Dallas Goedert. I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith. Grant, I know, dude, quit hammering the thread here. You keep just cutting and pasting. You're playing Matt Stafford. Chris says John Brown, Golden Tate, or Juju. I'm going to go with Juju, though John Brown would be last on that list. Golden Tate would be my next man up. Ben says MBS or Christian Kirk. Give me MBS. Who knows how much Christian Kirk is really going to play today. Dan says Auden Tate or Duke Johnson in a PPR. Give me Auden Tate across the pond there for the Cincinnati Bengals against the LA Rams. DJ says, I missed it. Mina says Ty Johnson, Corey Davis, Tyler Boyd, start 2 in a PPR. I'm going to go with Corey Davis. I'm going to go with Ty Johnson in a close one there. Tyler says John Brown or Darren Waller. Darren Waller. Again, I'm veering away from these vertical options of the Buffalo Bills when you have a viable crutch to lean on, and Waller is certainly that player. Aaron says Cameron Brate or Greg Olsen. Give me Brate. Tennessee has been generous to opposing tight ends so far this season without O.J. Howard on the field. The odds of Brate finding the end zone, substantial. So definitely go that direction. Matt says Geronimo or Alan Lazard. I'm going to go with Geronimo. DJ says Cooks or Ridley. Give me Cooks. I want nothing to do with Matt Schaub and that offense from the Atlanta Falcons today. Chris says Edmonds or Ty Johnson at PPR. Chase Edmonds in a landslide, in a walk. Tram says Ertz or Hooper. Give me Austin Hooper. Yes, even with the ancient one, Matt Schaub. I mean, I look younger than Matt Schaub, and dude, I'm old. So keep that in mind. Kevin on YouTube, Julio Jones or Corey Davis. Give me Corey Davis, believe it or not. And again, I'm downgrading Julio significantly with Schaub under center. Jay says Calvin Ridley or Royce Freeman. Give me Royce Freeman. as the Colts giving up close to 5 yards per carry, the running back position. Mark on YouTube, Ty Johnson or Eckler? Eckler all day, going to be a top 10 fantasy performance, I believe. The Bears have allowed 7.5 receptions per game, 58 yards per game through the air to opposing running backs. And Eckler, I firmly believe, is the best pass-catching back currently in the NFL. Bobby says Breeze or Brissett. I'm going to go with Drew Brees and a nail-biter there. TJ says Fitz, Tyrell Williams, or Ty Johnson. I'm going to go with Tyrell Williams, who should see a huge target share along with Darren Waller in a game that should have points aplenty against the Houston Texans there on the road. Jason says Devontae Freeman or Marlon Mack in a PPR. There, I would actually go Devontae Freeman. Whether Brad from Adrian, John Brown, or Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry, even in perfect conditions. I mean, the Bears are just falling apart at the seams defensively right now, and Hunter Henry is going to be a centerpiece vertically for the LA Chargers today. Jason says Josh Allen or Drew Brees. Drew Brees, please. Anthony says Derrick Henry or Tevin Coleman. Give me Tevin Coleman. Jim Rambo, what a great last name. I hope that's real. PPR, Ted Ginn or MBS. I'm going to go MBS. Ryan says DK Metcalf or Julio Jones. Give me DK Metcalf. Jimmy says Mac or DJ Chark. I'm going to go with the Chark attack. I think he finds the end zone today against the Jets. Steven says Keenan Allen or Jamal Williams. I'll go Jamal Williams. Keenan Allen did not mention some of the news bits at the top. He is going to try to work out that hamstring during warmups to see if he's ready. I doubt he plays. If he does, the risk of re-injury, massive. You can't trust him. I pulled him out of my ranks this week. I pulled him out of my lineups. There's no way I'm going to insert a dude with a bulky hamstring in chilly conditions in Chicago. No, thank you. Billy says Brate, Samuels, or Walton in a full point PPR. I'm going to go with Cameron Brate. Billy says Brate, Samuels, or Walton. Oh, you're the same person, Billy. Billy times 2. Again, I'm going Brate times 2. Drew says Tate or Boyd. If that's Golden Tate, I go Golden Tate. If it's Auden Tate, I go Tyler Boyd. Vincent says John Brown or D.D. Westbrook. Give me Westbrook. Renan says Edmonds or Latavius Murray in a flex and a standard. That's very close, but give me Chase Edmonds. I think both got a really good shot at finding the end zone today. Aaron says OBJ or Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills. You don't have to play OBJ, folks, just because his name is Odell Beckham Jr. Fantasy is a matchup game. No player, no matter how talented they are immune from down fantasy performances. And that logic certainly applies to Odell Beckham. So when you hear, analysts throw out, always start your studs, you got to play your studs, all they're doing is being lazy. Okay? It is the dumbest phrase in fantasy football. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. All right, moving on. Mike says Cohen or Jamal Williams in a PPR. Give me Jamal Williams. Brian says Edmonds, McCoy, or James White in a PPR. Give me Chase Edmonds. Patrick says I need 2 out of the 5. Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds. I'm going to go with Tevin Coleman and Chase Edmonds there. Chris says Mike Evans or Stills. Mike Evans by just a hair, just a nose. It's really close. Samantha says Sutton or Robert Woods in a full point PPR. Give me Sutton. A lot of TD upside there. No Emmanuel Sanders. That's over 6 targets per game up for grabs. I think Sutton will continue to deliver firm wide receiver 2 results, including this week against Rocky Yassin and company, one of the greatest names in the NFL, and the Indianapolis Colts. Rick says MVS or Golden Tate in a full PPR. Give me Golden Tate. Revenge game against Detroit. Ricardo says A.J. Brown or Tyreek Hill. Believe it or not, I'm going to go A.J. Brown. Hashtag Team Huevos. Matt Moore is bad, folks. 6.8 career YPA. Averaged less than 200 yards per game and 30 career starts. That is not good news for Tyreek. I know he caught a touchdown last week, but Green Bay's secondary is legit. Matthew says Brate, Singletary, Auden Tate need 1. I'm going to go with Cameron Brate. John says Marlon Mack or Ty Johnson in a PPR. Give me Ty Johnson with a PPR twist there. CJ says Watson or Breeze. Come on, bro. You're playing Watson. Rick says Sutton or Chark. Give me Chark, but again, that's really close. Jay says Ridley or Mike Williams. I'm going to go with Mike Williams. James says Breeze or Rogers. Give me Breeze. Joey says Mack or Edmonds. Give me Edmonds. Chris says Chubb, Mack, Edmonds, Eckler. Standard need 2. Eckler and Edmonds. And thank you for spelling it correctly. People who are putting in EDMU instead of O, Get a clue. Use spell check. It's Edmonds, not Edmunds. Jason says Galladay or Cup. I have both inside my top 10 this week. I'm going to go Cup. Wentz or Breeze from Michael. Give me Breeze. Steven says half point PPR. Alshon or Cooks. Give me Cooks due to the conditions there in Buffalo. Michael says Wentz or Breeze. Again, Breeze, bro. Quit asking the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. It ain't going to work. Justin says Boyd or Sanders in a PPR. Give me Tyler Boyd. Jordan says McKissick or Jeffrey in the flex. I'll take my chances with J.D. McKissick. Josh says Travis Kelce or Larry Fitzgerald. Give me Kelce. Giuseppe says John Brown or Ty Johnson in a flex PPR. Give me Ty Johnson. DJ Cummings says DJ Moore or Brandon Cooks. Give me Brandon Cooks. Zach goes Wentz or Allen. I'll take Josh Allen with the hopeful potential of some rushing stats in that game. QB3 from Claudia. Kyle Allen or Wentz. God, I really don't like the matchup for Kyle Allen. I'll go Wentz and a prayer. Kelsey says OBJ or Dave Montgomery. I'm going Dave Montgomery. Mandatory Montgomery, run the damn ball, Matt Nagy. Says he will. We'll see if he actually follows through. Singletary or Waller from Clint. Give me Waller. Daryl says Eckler or Mack. I'm going to go Austin Eckler there. Carmine says Jamal Williams or Damian Williams. Definitely Jamal Williams. Jamie says, good morning, Henry or Ertz. I'm hoping that's Hunter Henry and not Derrick Henry. I'm going to go Hunter Henry there if it is. Claudia again, Kyle Allen or Wentz. Again, I'm going to go Wentz. Drew says Corey Davis or Larry Fitz. Corey Davis, please. Matt says Bills or Colts D. I'm going to take the Bills D, actually. The conditions could really boost them up there. Flex, Chark or Eckler in a PPR from Dallas. Give me Eckler. Brandon on YouTube, bump my question, please. Well, sorry, you just missed your opportunity, a golden one. And you fumbled it. You didn't even put the question in there, bro. Steven says, talk about games against the spread. Here's your hot play of the day. Just take the under, Steven, in the Bills-Eagles game. Last I checked, it was 40.5. I do like the Titans minus 2.5. That's my favorite wager this week, ATS. Mina says, Kenny Stills or Marvin Jones, full point PPR. Give me Kenny Stills. Brissett or Stafford to start from Jeremiah. Give me Matthew Stafford. A couple more and I got to bounce. Rob says Rodgers or Jimmy G. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. Anthony says Golden Tate or Marvin Jones. Golden Tate. Carr Rivers from Todd. Give me Carr. Nick says Stills, Metcalf or Sanu. Kenny Stills for me. And last and certainly not least, Aaron Arcus, Mike Williams, Auden Tate, Emmanuel Sanders, the flex. Give me Mike Williams. Do not forget to watch our Halloween episode, our favorite episode of the year, Fantasy Football Live, yahoo.com/FFL, coming up here in just a matter of minutes, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. Follow me on Twitter at Yahoo Noise. Follow me on the Instagram as well. Team Huevos is the handle. And watch my television show. The Fantasy Football Hour, you can watch it right here on Yahoo Sports every single week. It posts on Thursday. Check out that stream. Good luck in week number 8. Adios, amigos.